Okay. There are QR codes on your tables, and I will have the same QR code on the last screen today. This will give you access to the slides, and also there's some resources that go deeper in the topics we're covering today that I put together. So scan the code or grab one of those cards. We have quite a bit to cover today, so I'm gonna jump right in. Today's demand for talent far outpaces the supply, putting talented candidates in the driver's seat. Finding the right candidate who is actually a fit for the position and your firm feels like looking for a needle in a haystack. The recruitment process is exhausting for both companies and candidates. And in most cases, firms are not providing the high level of candidate experience that today's recruits of all career levels want and expect. And then once we get candidates through the door, the onboarding, training, engagement, and retention strategies are also lacking, increasing employee turnover and keeping this vicious cycle going. So what if we approached employee recruitment and retention like we approach client marketing? Modern marketing strategies focus on three key areas. The first is brand building, creating a strong customer-centric brand and investing in building brand visibility for your firm. Second is engaging your clients with the right message and content at every stage in their life cycle. And third is creating an unmatched customer experience. So what if we applied the same principles to employee marketing? And I want to start here. Some of you may be familiar with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a motivation theory, which states that 5 categories of human needs dictate an individual's behavior. So employee engagement could be viewed through the lens of this theory. Why is employee engagement so important? Because this is what enables your firm succeed, or makes it fail, in the battle to attract, engage, and retain the best fitting, high-performing, and fiercely loyal workforce. Are your employees engaged? Do they believe in your firm and what it does? Do they feel personally aligned with your firm's brand, purpose, and culture? Are they invested? Low engagement results in transactional relationships. People do what's required, more or less, in exchange for a paycheck. As we move higher on the engagement pyramid, employee engagement and advocacy continue to increase. And as they increase, it results in lower turnover rates and off-the-charts loyalty. This is where you want to be, the top of that pyramid. But getting there is not easy. It requires an intentional, disciplined, and ongoing effort to master the alignment of business strategy, brand, culture, and employee experience. For some firms, it will require a significant operational and behavioral shift, breaking down internal silos, improving team communications, and investing in systems and processes for collecting employee feedback. It will require a better understanding of your ideal employee persona and creating an employee experience that's authentic, relevant, and will attract those who share your firm's goals, values, and beliefs. There are staggering statistics about employee disengagement at work. Something like 67 to 68% of employees are either not engaged or actively disengaged. Sadly, in most companies, employee engagement efforts boil down to one of two things: HR-sponsored team building performance and compliance activity, or overabundance of perks and not much else. Neither one is likely to improve your employee engagement statistics. What will improve your employee engagement, though, is creating a distinct brand-based culture and employee experience. Let's unpack this a little. I just mentioned 3 things: brand, culture, and experience. Let's start with the brand, because everything in marketing always starts with the brand. I am not a fan of the terms employer branding or employee branding, because this terminology implies that there is a separate brand or a separate version of the brand that needs to be developed for employees versus customers. Your HR and recruitment teams should not be creating a separate brand for your firm that's disconnected from your firm's brand. You must have a single and unified brand, and it must be integrated into everything your firm does, from its long-term business strategy to daily actions and across all functions, departments, and communications. So instead of creating a separate employer brand, you should develop your firm's brand with both customers and employees in mind. However, within the overall brand platform, there are several brand building blocks that specifically address the employee audience: brand purpose, brand values, and employee value proposition. Your brand must be driven by purpose. Today, people want to be part of something bigger than themselves and work for companies that stand for more than advanced technical capabilities, exciting projects, and happy clients. In other words, they want to work for companies that are defined by a greater purpose and have values aligned with their own. Important to understand that brand purpose is not the same as corporate social responsibility. It's not a sustainability strategy or a strategy for philanthropy. It's a business strategy that acts as your firm's North Star, guiding everything you say, do, and stand for internally and externally. To become a firm that everyone wants to work for takes more than a well-crafted marketing message. Having a purpose-driven brand has become essential for attracting top talent to your firm. Brand values is the code by which your brand lives. They prescribe the desired mindsets and behaviors, ensuring that everyone does the right thing. It's your right versus wrong filter for everything from hiring and promoting the right people to setting corporate behaviors and actions. You may have heard of IDEO, a global design thinking firm that believes in creating change through design, so that's their purpose. And it's famous for this super creative, innovative culture. Faced with endless questions about how they created this type of culture, IDEO took the time to distill what makes the company great into a set of guiding principles, or their values, so that everyone inside and outside the firm understands what IDEO stands for. They further cemented those values into what they called the Little Book of IDEO. And all new employees receive a copy of this book on their first day. How cool is that? When creating or developing your firm's values, stay away from generic, we care, best quality, or teamwork, and make sure that your values are unique and represent the spirit of your firm. For example, to communicate the value of quality, Google states, "Great isn't good enough." Or Zappos, delivering wow through service, communicates a lot about the company, and it's so much more unique and inspiring than exceptional customer care. These also make it very clear to all employees what they're expected to deliver. A value proposition is a tangible benefit or outcome. So for clients, it's the value of doing business with your firm. For employees, it's the value of being part of your team. What's in it for them? And your value proposition is one brand element that could be tailored to different audience segments. So for example, on the client side, you may have a value proposition defined for each of your key markets. Depending on your firm's overall value proposition, you may need to tailor it to the employee audience, in which case you have a separate value proposition or several for clients and a separate one for employees. But they both should be aligned with your overall brand. Why should candidates select your firm. And there is much research that supports it's not your health insurance or 401k plan, which are important, but probably the same for all firms of your size. It's also not your free happy hours. You need to think beyond that. Just like with your client value proposition, you need to think beyond on time and on budget. What's the far-reaching, long-lasting positive impact of choosing your firm on one's career? The second part in our brand culture experience trifecta is culture. Every firm has a culture. It may not have been intentionally planned, but it's there. By being intentional about it, and more importantly, by building your culture around your purpose and values, you get to align all employees with your brand and cultivate intentionally those attitudes and behaviors that you want to drive your corporate culture versus just letting it happen. What exactly is culture? People often confuse culture with perks. Free coffee or beer, on-site yoga, work-from-home options, and those are nice, no doubt, but your culture is about more than free coffee. It's all about people. It's about creating an environment that makes it possible for people to come together, to grow and thrive professionally and personally, and do their best work. The benefit of having a strong culture extends far beyond more effective employee recruitment programs or decreased cost of employee turnover. Studies show that engaged internal teams translate into increased motivation and productivity, higher quality of work, and a better customer experience. Most importantly, it helps to attract the right people to your firm. A strong sense of purpose, a unique set of values, and a clearly defined value proposition will help you attract those who are like-minded and see the value of working with your firm beyond purely transactional, moving you up on that engagement pyramid we discussed earlier in the presentation. Understand that in order to attract the right people, your brand doesn't have to be fun, and your culture doesn't have to be warm and fuzzy. It could be hardworking, driven, and competitive. What's essential is that your brand culture and employee experience are fully aligned. There was an article in New York Times a few years ago condemning Amazon as a brutal, ruthless place to work where employees cry at their desks every single day. Some former employees called Amazon a workplace bully. But many came to its defense, including Amazon's current employees who thrive in this fast-paced, driven environment that offers so many learning opportunities. And nobody's defending the crying at work part, of course, but the point is, Amazon is an unquestionably successful business. And it doesn't succeed only because its culture is demanding, like no company will ever succeed simply because its culture is cuddly. Amazon succeeds because its high-performing, innovative culture is what enables Amazon to attract the right people. People who will work really hard to ensure that Amazon fulfills its vision to be the most customer-centric company on earth. Last but not least, in our brand culture experience equation is employee experience. Employee experience is defined by how well your firm delivers on its promise to employees. Does it live by its stated values? Does it walk the talk? Does it make good on promises made during the recruitment process? Employee experience encompasses every interaction an employee has with your firm, from recruitment through employment to an exit interview. And EX, as many of you know, is not an HR function. HR is only part of it. It encompasses everything from physical work environments to operations, communications, culture, and more. In order to better address the needs of your unique candidates and employee types, and to provide a more personalized, tailored employee experience that will help you attract, engage, and retain them, you need to segment your candidates and employees into smaller logical groups, very similar to how you segment your customers. Different employee segments will have different goals, needs, and expectations, and will require different marketing strategies and types of communications. For example, if you look at your intern versus leader candidate type, their career goals and what they look for in a company is dramatically different. And the same is true as they progress from candidates to employees, so the experience you deliver should be different as well. Understanding factors such as the importance of professional development or traditional benefits, dress code, or flex scheduling options, physical work environment, and volunteering opportunities, as well as where and how they look for jobs, will help you develop more effective engagement strategies. Just think about the vast differences in communication preferences between generations. Your interns and recent grads are all Gen Z who want to do everything online, never talk to a live person, receive instruction in a video, and in general are much more challenging from the marketing perspective than all previous generations. To enable deeper personalization of your communications and experiences, develop your ideal employee profile and employee personas. And those should be formally defined, documented, and shared across all functions of the firm. Your ideal employee profile is more of a snapshot of the type of people who thrive in your culture and work environment. And it's also the type of people who all share common characteristics that are essential for your firm to deliver on its brand promise to customers, because your brand promise is largely delivered by your employees, right? It's very similar to your ideal client profile, which is typically the type of organizations your firm wants to do business with. Then you need to develop employee personas, typically 3 to 5, but it could be different for your firm. The process for developing employee personas is pretty much the same as the process for developing client personas. Don't develop personas in a vacuum and based on assumptions. Do your homework. Do some research. For example, in order to better understand what your prospective employees are looking for and what your firm needs to do, say, and show to attract your ideal candidates. Talk to your current employees. What first attracted them to your firm? Why did they choose you? What was their candidate experience like? And in general, employee surveys and exit interviews are invaluable for helping you continually improve your employee experience. Map a journey for each candidate and employee persona. The entire life cycle, not just the recruitment phase. And just like with customer experience mapping, the primary benefit of this exercise is that it allows you to see your firm's experience through the eyes of candidates and current employees. The number of stages and their naming conventions may vary, and there is a multitude of touch points, interactions, and meaningful moments within each stage that you will need to define in great detail for each persona type. The prospect stage. Attracting your ideal employees to your firm begins long before they're actively looking for a job, just like you market to your ideal clients before they're actually looking for services similar to what your firm provides. At this point, your prospective employees might be in school or happy with their current jobs. Building brand awareness of your firm and becoming the top choice in your prospective employee minds is essential for building a healthy candidate pipeline. From these early stages in the candidate journey, the courtship phase, consider the alignment of your brand culture, values, marketing communications, and experiences. Is your career page aligned with the image created by employees on social media and review sites such as Glassdoor? Are your recruitment communications and materials on brand? Are they engaging, differentiating, and do they accurately reflect your firm's personality? For example, if you say you have casual, easygoing culture and work environment, make sure people on your website look approachable and they're not wearing black suits and power ties. And maybe instead of sending a generic email confirming you received the resume, send out a warm, humorous card. If you say you treat everyone like family, make sure your family leave benefits and other HR policies support that claim. If you say you're a tech-savvy firm, make sure you have modern, streamlined, seamless online application process. And consider all interactions and touch points. For example, generic boilerplate rejection letters rarely build goodwill, and they do nothing to strengthen your firm's brand. Think about how when your project proposal gets rejected, you appreciate a debrief, maybe a personal note, a phone call. I know I do. It's all part of the experience. The new hire stage. So this is the first post-courtship experience an employee has with your firm. Make sure it doesn't feel like the honeymoon is over. Well, everyone is excited to have them on their team. Do your accounting, HR, and legal processes feel as welcoming? Or does your legal counsel treat all new employees like enemies your firm must be protected from? And they're just doing their job, and I hope I didn't offend any in-house legal counsels. But the point is, remember that all functions and departments of the firm must act consistently on brand. Onboarding is the first step in turning your new employees into lifelong brand loyalists. Do they spend their first day doing paperwork and touring the supply room? Yawn. Or do they spend their day filled with meaningful moments that make the story your firm told during the recruitment process come alive? Immersing your employees in your firm's brand and culture, not mind-numbing administrative tasks. If you do any kind of welcome kits, and often companies try to include something locally made, especially if you recruit nationally, or branded swag, and who doesn't love mugs and t-shirts, but think about what artifacts are actually directly related to your brand, not just have your logo on them. And that's actually true for all giveaways. Think about if a jump drive uniquely represents your brand. And if not, then what does? Your firm must be on the inside what you say you are on the outside. All policies and procedures, performance evaluations, rewards and promotion criteria must reinforce your brand, culture, and values. Promote those who not only deliver great work product, but also exhibit value-based on-brand behaviors you want to cultivate. People who perfectly align with your brand, but might be lacking in technical performance, should be given a second chance to improve their skills. People who perform great technically, but are a horrible cultural fit, must be let go. Develop meaningful employee handbooks that promote values-based behaviors you want to cultivate. It kills me to see missed opportunities with employee handbooks. And yes, part of it is legal language and compliance, but if you package it in a way that's engaging and on brand, you considerably increase the chances of them being read or followed. Anybody here has employee handbooks? Are they fun? Here you go, an opportunity for marketing to get involved. IDEO again. Remember the little book of IDEO with their values. So they also have an online guide that sets expectations for what makes an IDEO employee successful, helping new hires and current employees stay on track, And it also helps candidates make an informed decision whether this type of culture is right for them. It's fun, engaging, and on brand. Essentially, it's a blueprint for employee to understand what's expected, how to put values into practice, what behaviors are encouraged, and what will not be tolerated. It's an open and transparent guide for how grow professionally and personally, become successful as an individual, and ultimately contribute to the overall success of the firm. Everything from how you communicate internally to your work environment and daily rituals directly contributes to everyone's understanding of the brand and what it means to act on brand. How your team comes together and celebrates successes. The type of legendary stories you pass from generation to generation, all artifacts and rituals you create and cherish, all of that should reinforce your brand and your unique corporate culture. Just like the branding process itself, your brand education and engagement process should be ongoing. Because once a brand has been around for a while, people tend to get a little fuzzy about what it stands for. So to overcome this, find ways to reboot your brand internally, to remind employees what it represents, and to make people feel aligned with the brand. Some of these reboots could be formal, creative, and apart from day to day. I love this example where Whirlpool used MTV's The Real World show concept to conduct its sales training. They took their sales team and placed it in a large residence they couldn't leave, if you are familiar with the show. And they had to cook all of their own meals and do their own laundry using the appliances they came to learn about. Other reboots could be very low-key and integrate seamlessly into employees' daily experiences as they go about their work. Things as simple as branded messages that pop up when somebody logs into the company intranet. Environmental branding is a great way to continuously reinforce your values and key messages over time. A series of wall displays or posters in your firm's public spaces could be a great daily reminder what your brand stands for, or a Zoom background in today's world if you're still work from home. And an example is from our client, Bowler Engineering. Their offices are very highly branded with key messages and brand values. Not burning bridges applies to employee strategies as much as business in general. Some of your firms have employees who left for a while and came back. Anybody here has done it or has boomerang employees in there? We talked about it yesterday, right? The exit interviews and the overall experience around those last weeks of employment could be critical. And even if people don't come back, they can continue to advocate for your firm. And as I mentioned already, exit interviews and employee feedback in general is very useful for continually improving your employee experience. But don't wait till people leave to ask for feedback. Employee surveys that ask current employees for their feedback, and then the firm actually listening to that feedback, responding and acting on that feedback is critical to your retention strategies. Net Promoter Score, which a lot of you are familiar with, has become the most popular customer experience metric. And it's based on a single question: how likely are you to recommend our firm, measured on a 10-point scale? And then you ask probing questions like, what's the reason for your score? How can we improve? What's missing? And so on. Use NPS to measure and improve your employee experience. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend our firm as a place to work? It's an easy metric to benchmark. Again, if you're running NPS surveys for your clients, but even if not, there are tons of software options that help you run the survey, and then there are calculators that help you determine your score. So benchmark, run a survey, work out issues, and rerun the survey regularly to measure your improvements over time. So the premise of this presentation is applying modern marketing principles that you use to attract and engage clients to different candidate and employee personas at different stages in their life cycle. Most of you are probably familiar with the sales funnel. Marketing and BD teams use funnels to map prospect behaviors to each buying stage and ensure that your firm delivers the right message, content, and experience to the right persona at the right time in their decision-making process. Using the same principle, build a funnel for your employees. Your top of the funnel marketing will be focused on building awareness for your firm and candidate education. So this is where your recruitment marketing is focused. The bullets on the screen should look very, very familiar, because this is how we approach attracting, engaging, and retaining prospects and clients. The goal is not to have 500 resumes, just like the goal is not to have 500 RFPs. You don't want to simply fill the top of your employee funnel, but fill it with highly qualified candidates and then hire, train, engage, and retain them. So some of the tactics I'm about to mention you're probably doing already, but are you maximizing them? And are you considering how your different marketing strategies and tactics address the needs of your individual candidate and employee personas at different stage in their decision-making process? And we already talked about some strategies and tactics as we went through the journey phases. Career fairs. A lot of your firms recruit interns and employees in the hope that interns will become employees. Are you tailoring the experience? And if you're going to dozens of career fairs a year, it may be difficult to have custom displays and fully customized materials for each. But if there's a couple of major universities you typically mostly recruit from, consider personalizing and tailoring messages and graphics. Maybe incorporate their colors or their mascots. If you have alumni from those universities, make sure their faces are front and center at your booth. And if you can't bring your technical teams to every career fair, at least those should be the videos playing at your booth and also on your website and social media and any before fair pre-positioning and promotional campaigns. Use their quotes. Get them talking about the experience with your firm. Make those individuals visible on campus. We have clients with subject matter experts that have their own geeky following and communities, and people seek out those firms because they want to work with these renowned industry experts. Your SMEs and their reputation could not only help you attract your ideal clients, but for recruitment purposes as well. Consider that if they're speaking at conferences, which serves to attract clients and more senior level candidates, they should also be lecturing, teaching, participating in career days, be visible on university campuses. But make sure that your recruitment efforts are focused on all career levels, not just interns and recent grads. Granted, more senior level candidates will heavily rely on their personal professional networks to find and vet firms, but they will engage on LinkedIn. So consider all forms of LinkedIn marketing, including paid because you could be very targeted, doing paid campaigns for especially very high-level positions. And senior-level candidates will still come to your website. And I know there's a whole other session coming after me, but we see it all the time when career pages are only focused on entry level. And there is nothing that would resonate with senior-level candidates. You have to tailor to all candidate personas. Content marketing. We educate our clients because we believe that an educated client is a better client, and that education is part of helping, and we all know helping is the new selling, right? When you apply this principle to your hiring process, it's the same idea. An educated candidate is a better candidate, and by helping them, we create a happier employee and a more engaged advocate. For entry level, your recruitment content could be centered around the profession. What it's like to be an architect, engineer, an attorney, or an accountant. What should students think about when they're deciding how to specialize or where they want to work? What's the typical career path? For more senior level candidates, some of your thought leadership strategies such as speaking and writing that you use to attract your clients could work very well for these more senior level candidates. Do you have really strong research capabilities or technical capabilities? Will they be working on projects and leading teams in doing groundbreaking work far ahead of the rest of the industry? But overall, your recruitment content should be focused on answering the most pressing questions that candidates of all levels are asking. And it should be keyword optimized for search. So the bottom of your funnel is internal marketing. Firms that consistently invest time and resources to develop meaningful internal communications and programs tend to have much higher levels of employee engagement. Intranet. Essentially, it's a website for your employees. Is it just a boring document repository? Does it have employee stories and news, weddings, anniversaries, professional accomplishments and milestones, introductions to new hires? Does it engage? Or is the only reason for you to come back is because you need to download a travel reimbursement form? Especially consider how for your remote employees and offices, the intranet and other forms of internal digital communication, such as Slack channels and social communities, could be their primary connection to your firm. Callis & RTKL, a global architecture firm, consistently invests in meaningful internal engagement campaigns. And they have a dedicated communications team for making it happen. So there's a team of marketing professionals who all they do is internal communications. And over the years, they've had some really innovative programs and events, like this Digital Evolution Lab, which is internal digital hackathon, designed to inspire a culture of digital innovation. Another program that I personally love is Works in Progress competition. Employees can submit their work that's still in progress, and it's judged by an outside panel of industry experts. There is a dedicated website, YouTube channel, and internal engagement campaigns that encourage participation and celebrate the winners. And every year, there is a published monograph that showcases all the winning entries and has notes from the judging process. And this type of internal communications could work really well for recruitment as well, or even client engagement. Imagine putting this book in front of your prospective clients. Also, if you do any kind of impact reports or any of that type of collateral, it's great for recruitment. So as we begin to wrap up, to win the talent war, follow the modern marketing principles you use to attract, engage, and retain your ideal clients. Begin by creating a purpose-driven, firm-wide brand and values-based culture. Invest in building brand visibility for your firm as the place to work. Define your ideal employee profile and research-based employee personas. Map a journey for each candidate and employee persona. And make sure that you account for all pivotal interactions and touch points for each persona within each stage. Develop and deliver the right message and content to the right candidate or employee persona at the right time in their decision-making process. Educate your candidates and employees, helping them make smarter, more informed decisions. And finally, create an unmatched employee experience for the entire life cycle, from prospect to candidate, to new hire, employee, and a lifelong brand champion. So again, I put together some resources for you. The cards are on the table. You can also click that, grab that QR code. And of course, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via email or LinkedIn if you have any questions. And with that, I'm going to stop talking, so we have some time for questions. And I have no idea really how much time we have, but I think like 10 minutes? Okay. Yeah, please.
You talked about having one brand both internally and externally. I think a challenge for some of these AE firms is their brand might not necessarily be super marketable in an internet sense. What are your thoughts on having a linked brand to your firm that might not have the exact same name, but, for example, Rocket Mortgage by QuickBooks, something in that vein? Does that work? Is it suitable?
So the question is, some of AE, specifically, all professional services, brands might not be very marketable, especially, digitally. So could you have a separate brand that, like, again, Rocket Mortgage by, yeah. So, I mean, you're talking about brand architecture here. So it's a little bit different. Usually, in that case, Rocket Mortgage by QuickBooks, it's a totally different business line. So it's less about creating a separate brand for employees versus customers. It's more about having sub-brands for divisions, companies, entities, and business lines. And inherently, if that's your business brand architecture, there is nothing wrong with it. But if you have a single brand, and I can also get on the soapbox about the brand being not, marketable, and I would say, well, then you need to go through a rebrand and strategically define your brand core that it appeals to your ideal clients and ideal employees alike, and then execute it across all print, digital, physical applications. So kind of to your question, it's perfectly acceptable to do that, but it has to come from the sort of, again, how your business structure and your brand architecture in order for that to work. And AE firms, we have some clients who kind of, they either have like a product or it's an M&A situation where the acquired entity has a stronger brand in certain areas, so you get like either a byline or something. So it definitely exists in this industry, but it's not a good solution to just separating your employer brand. Yes, Deb.
Ida, you touched a little bit on recruiting and career fairs, and that's an area where we really struggle, and we struggle with it for a lot of reasons. The technical people, we want them there to be the face of that employee experience. They're too busy. They're engineers. They get there and they clam up. So that's a big struggle for us, and you had a suggestion or two when you spoke. But what would you suggest, like, if we're really trying to shake things up or kind of get out of that rut, a top tip or two for recruiting at career fairs?
Sure. So the question is, for career fairs, how can you innovate with all the limitations and issues that we have with getting people there? So a couple of things, sort of examples we've done with our clients. So first of all, the whole, how like when we know an RFP is going to come out, we do a lot of pre-positioning. We see a lot of times with firms, they just pack up their booth, they plop it at career fair, and they just stand there and hope, if you build it, they will come. You have to do a lot of before fair promotion. So using social media, hashtag Twitter handles specific to that university. Again, I totally understand, and I mean, again, working a lot in this industry, we know, you can't take your highly billable architect from a billion-dollar project so he can sit in a career fair booth for 8 hours. But you can, through pre-promotion and kind of, again, run some campaigns that engage students, that get you exposure on campus, that will get your people who really should be there but can't be on campus. Again, videos, just very engaging kind of testimonial videos, and you have a little bit more control with people who are not extroverted or comfortable with some media training, and if you have a good videographer, you can get them to be more engaging, and then you can slice and cut and paste and create video where they actually would come across much more engaging than they would in real life. So definitely doing that, and just like having faces and quotes of people who, again, ideally if you have graduated from those universities. I think also what works well when you bring technical professionals who are not very comfortable, have like a marketer or somebody with them. So we have a client who they they call them marketing partners. Each of their geographic offices and kind of like business lines have a marketing person within that business line studio. So, and they're marketing partners because their job is to help market that team. So they, we've done it where they would go, so they are the engaging piece, but again, then the technical professional can really speak to cool, geeky aspect, and I think it gives it credibility. And everybody always says, oh my God, I'm not gonna bring my engineer because they're not gonna engage. But I mean, if you're recruiting engineering students, it's the same personality. So let engineers talk to engineers, because if we're gonna stereotype what personalities are like, that's what you're recruiting for. I mean, and I don't know if you have, larger firms usually have like recruitment team or a couple of recruiters who tend to be young, and they're actually a good fit for career fairs because they're almost the same age. But I think it's important to communicate not only, and I think that's in general with recruitment, it's not a mistake, but people kind of fall into this. It's all gonna be about how fun we are, fun team things. But remember, this is, people are growing their careers. Yes, they wanna have great colleagues to work with, but they also wanna have great mentors to learn from. And they wanna work on really technically challenging landmark projects that will build their portfolio. So as they grow in their career within your firm or sadly take it to another firm. This is their first job. They know it's very important. And again, if we're to stereotype generationally, I mean, Gen Z, they're career oriented. They want to come in, they want to know the path, and they want to know exactly what they're going to do and how cool it is and respected within the industry. So I think promoting fun team things is great, but also promote your projects, promote your technical capabilities. I think that will be important. And, at the booth, maybe think about some cool things to do there. I mean, not gimmicky, but, there could be some interesting things that are create more immersive experience, like besides video, something interactive, do some, contest competition, I don't know, something. It has to be quick and easy, obviously, to make you stand apart. But I would definitely, if you have limited resources, people who can really spend on career fairs, put a lot into that promotional, but like targeted to specific universities. And once you have it created, so like with our clients, we kind of have this promotional plan and campaigns created. You have to tailor it, but the basis is there, so you can repurpose it not only year over year with the same university, but across different universities as well. Any other questions? Thank you very much.